2 words, not true. That is the entire statement Alex Baskin, executive producer of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, put out this week in response to the casting bomb that detonated across the Bravo internet. No press release, no lengthy denial, just a repost of the blind item, 2 words, and a diamond emoji. And somehow, that answer raised more questions than it answered. Because here's the thing about not true. It doesn't tell you which part isn't true. The part about Dorit being paused, the part about Crystal returning, the part about Lori Loughlin joining, all of it? None of it? Welcome to RHOBH Season 16 casting season, where the tea is boiling, the showrunner is being deliberately vague, and Rihanna is apparently a casting consultant now. Let's break all of it down. It started, as so much Bravo chaos does, with a Bravo and Cocktails blind item, the same account that famously broke Scandival before it hit mainstream media. On May 21st, an anonymous tip submitted to the site claimed to have the full Season 16 cast picture. And it was explosive. According to the tip, the returning full-time cast would be Kyle Richards, Erika Jayne, Bozoma St. John, Sutton Strack, and Rachel Zoe. Jennifer Tilly would also be back as a friend. Crystal Kung Minkoff, who exited after Season 13 in 2024, was described as back in the mix, with her exact role still being decided after meetings with Alex Baskin. 2 bold-faced new names were in the mix, Lori Loughlin and Emma Grade, the Good American co-founder with deep Kardashian world ties. Amanda Frances had reportedly been offered a contract but would most likely decline. And the headline, Dorit Kemsley was being put on pause. The fandom lost its collective mind. By Thursday night, RHOBH was one of the biggest trending topics in the Bravo community online. Within 24 hours, Alex Baskin reposted a screenshot of the blind item to his Instagram stories. Over it, he wrote, "Not true. That's it. 2 words. Diamond emoji." Here is why that answer is genuinely fascinating rather than clarifying. The blind item contained multiple distinct claims about at least 8 different cast members, 2 new additions, and 1 very significant demotion. Not true applied to the whole package. But which elements specifically triggered the denial? Some viewers questioned whether the denial was specifically about Dorit being paused or whether it covered all of the casting details in the blind item, including claims about Crystal Kung Minkoff and Amanda Frances. He didn't say Dorit is coming back. He didn't say Crystal is not in talks. He said, not true. A second clarifying blind item from Bravo and Cocktails added more nuance and in some ways more chaos. The follow-up claimed that Dorit is not officially on pause yet, that half of the producers actually want her back, and that Erika Jayne's status is 50-50, with producers wanting more from her storyline, specifically around her son, her new boyfriend, and her legal situation. It also claimed, pointedly, that Amanda Frances' public hesitation about returning is a negotiating tactic, and she actually wants to come back but is angling for a raise. Crystal Kung Minkoff weighed in herself. A social media user named Cosmo Kennedy claimed to have DM'd Crystal, who responded, just a rumor. When pushed further about the casting buzz, Crystal asked, where are these rumors? So as of this weekend, Baskin says not true, Crystal says not true, and the second blind item says some of the first blind item might have been slightly premature, but not entirely wrong. Clear as mud. The Dorit question is the most debated piece of this entire puzzle, and it cuts in 2 completely opposite directions depending on who you ask. The case for pausing Dorit, her storyline this season was almost entirely consumed by her divorce from PK and the financial crisis around her Encino mansion. That story has now spilled entirely out of Bravo's control. It lives in court filings, in attorney press releases. During the Season 15 reunion, Dorit made the accusation that Kyle Richards has the power to get co-stars she doesn't like fired, which added another layer of tension to an already fractured ensemble. And the foreclosure saga has a June 3rd date still on the calendar as of right now. The case against pausing Dorit, she is, in the words of many observers, a ticking time bomb, and that is television gold. Her divorce, her financial chaos, her villainous turn toward the end of the season, her fights with Kyle, Erika, Sutton, and Amanda, all of it is unresolved. She is in the middle of the most complicated storyline on the show, not at the end of it. Pausing her now would be like canceling a series finale in the middle of the second act. There's also the Dorinda medley precedent that's being widely cited. Dorinda was put on pause by Bravo after season 12 of Roni, and while she returned years later for Ultimate Girls Trip and eventually the Legacy cast, her pause was essentially a soft firing. It broke her heart. The parallel to Dorit is not flattering, and if Bravo is genuinely considering it, the timing, with her home potentially going to auction and her divorce in active court proceedings, is not exactly a moment of strength to walk away from your primary income source. While the Dorit casting drama was consuming the fandom, arguably the biggest RHOBH news of the week flew slightly under the radar, and it directly impacts what season 16 looks like for one of the show's most central figures. On May 22nd, just days before what would have been a trial, Erika Jayne settled the $25 million lawsuit filed by the trustee of Tom Girardi's bankrupt law firm, Girardi Keese. The settlement was reached during a pretrial conference on May 21st. The amount was not disclosed. All pending motions and hearing dates were vacated. Tom Girardi was sentenced to more than 7 years in federal prison in June 2025 after being convicted on wire fraud charges. Erika herself was never criminally charged. This settlement is significant for the show in a very specific way. Erika Jayne's entire RHOBH arc for the last 5 seasons has been defined completely by the Girardi scandal. The bankruptcy, the missing client money, the documentary, the lawsuits, the court dates, the depositions. And now, with the settlement, that chapter is formally, legally closed. Which raises the casting question this blind item was really circling around. If Erika's defining storyline is resolved, what is her season 16 story? The second clarifying blind item said producers want more from her, specifically her son Tommy, her new boyfriend, and the aftermath of the legal chapter. But aftermath of a legal resolution is a quieter story than about to go to trial. The second blind item putting her status at 50-50 actually makes sense in that context. Here's what we actually know as of Memorial Day weekend 2026. Bravo has not officially confirmed a single cast member for season 16. A filming schedule exists. Alex Baskin said the blind item was not true. Crystal says she's not returning. Erika just settled the lawsuit that defined her entire time on the show. Dorit's house has a June 3rd auction date. And Amanda Francis is playing a negotiating game with her return while Rihanna campaigns for her from the Instagram DMs. This is the most chaotic RHOBH off-season in recent memory, and not a frame has been filmed yet. The show that Camille Grammer recently called redundant and boring is suddenly the most talked about franchise on Bravo again, and all it took was a 2-word denial, a $25 million settlement, and the perpetual financial implosion of one woman's marriage. Season 16 hasn't started. It's already delivering.